Yo, Hideyuki here, the Rebelling Rose and One Chain to Oblivion, returning yet again with another excellent video. Woo! It is time to talk about the greatest visual kei bands of all time. Oh man, I'm excited for this one. I've been waiting a while to do this ever since I did the most overrated garbage visual kei bands and artists of all time. I knew I had to go in and turn up for this, right? So a little disclaimer here. If you're one of these type of fans that are expecting me to talk about a certain band or a certain artist, or you don't see this band or that band in the next, and so on and so forth, um, who asked you to do that? Is this your video? Fuck no. Did I ask you to do that? Fuck no. If you want to do that, make your own fucking video. Don't come in my comment section bitching and crying that I didn't include a certain band, or why didn't you include this, or can you talk about that, man? Look here, this is my list, this is my video, this is my channel. Would you like it if I went to your video talking about, this is a band that you should put on your list? Here's my top 10 list. No, don't do that here. I don't tolerate disrespect on this channel. But anyways, with that being said, let's get straight into it. First up on the list, we have Hide with Spread Beaver. Man, oh man. Wow. I mean, what hasn't been said about this man already? And this is not some, you're being biased, man. It's just a nostalgia, man. You're just an old head. No, stop it already. Hide is one of those figures that stood the test of time. He's an artist that influenced so many bands, man, and his own music still holds up. The fact that he was successful in one of the biggest bands at that time and then went solo and just took off to the stratosphere somewhere is, it's very telling of the talent. It's very telling of the skill. And, you look back at those albums, you look at Hydra Face, you look at Science, you look at Jazu, you even look at, the stuff he did with Zilch, and you're reviewing that and you're like, man, he was just ahead of his fucking time. You look at all the stuff he was doing with the industrial and alternative scene, experimenting and what have you, doing stuff that no one thought of at the time. And yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. He's an icon for a reason. And, that's going to stand the test of time, whether you like the man or not. And yeah. Next up on the list, we have Desperate. Desperate is one of those loud K bands that really stood out, during the time they came out, man. I mean, wow, the vocal range works really fucking well with this band. I mean, they had hit after hit after hit. And, despite his and me sadly, leaving the band due to his, vocal issues and coming back decades later, um, you look back at those songs and you're like, wow, man. I mean, it's just aggressive all the way. This is how you do loud K style. This is how you do it. They're a perfect example of that. And they had a sharp look as well. They always had a sharp gothic look. And, it worked in their favor. It really made them stand out, from the crowd. Next up on the list, we have Pierrot. We got another classic band here. Pierrot was always ahead of their time. They were always experimenting and trying different things. And, wow, what hasn't been said about Pierrot already? I mean, it's just incredible. They were even doing live concerts and stuff like that through the internet. I mean, they were doing all sorts of stuff far ahead of, what we see the music scene as now. And, it always, artists like that always stand the test of time, great to see. Next up on the list, we have Kuroyume. Kuroyume is one of those pivotal bands, man. This is a scene band that really set up the motion, really set up the groundwork for other bands to follow. And this is a good example of a band that has changed and evolved, and they still sound great. They still have passion, and, a lot of their stuff still holds up over time. It's just incredible to see that. And, there would be no Duran Gray. There would be no other, Nagia Koi bands without Kuroyume, man. I mean, these guys were pivotal in that specific scene. And yeah. And speaking of which, next up we've got Laputa, another pioneer of Nagayake. Boy, oh boy, Laputa was on it, man. I mean, album after album, they were just on that, man. They had Jocko, they had Amadera, the list just goes on. These guys were not fucking around, man. And what's so cool about this band was, they kind of leans almost into the extreme metal stuff, not all the way, but a lot of Aki's vocals, man, like the range was crazy. You would have these soft, mellow vocals, and then you just have these crazy screams, these crazy shrieks and stuff like that. That's so unsettling, but still fitting with what they're doing. And I'm like, wow, man. I mean that's incredible, for a band to still be that heavy, awesome. Next up on the list, we have Death Spiral. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, what the fuck, Yuki? Death Spiral? Why the hell is Death Spiral on the list, man? Who's Death Spiral? Why do they deserve to be on here, man? They're not a popular band. They're not a pioneer. So why are they on here, man? Listen here. I know. But hear me out here. What other band can you think of has went through 3 different phases of the visual K scene, changed their band name twice, changed their musical style twice, and still have damn near all their members and still sound good? Can you tell me? Anyone? I thought so. And that's exactly why Death Spiral is on this list. One of the most underrated visual K bands of all time. These guys have been through it all. They've been in the soft visual K scene. They've done the alternative metal stuff. They started, doing stuff, post grunge and what have you at that time. They even kind of new metalist, but mostly alternative metal. Right. They've done some pop mixed with that aggressive style. I mean, they have just bounced all over the place. They were able to pick up different styles and aesthetics and looks and still come across fresh and still feel new to the scene, without dropping or dipping in that quality. And it really shows in their work, man. It really shows. But anyways, moving on. Next up on the list, we have Lunacy. Lunacy is definitely a band where everybody and their mother knows who Lunacy is, but they're not a one-trick pony, Rosier was not their only one hit. They've had consistency. They had tons of great songs over the years, and it really shows, right? They've had so many good songs, man. A perfect example of soft visual K done at its best, amazing vocal work, great memorable instrumentation, and with looks that fit and stand out, right? Next up on the list, we have Cali-gari. I was really tempted to put Muck on this list, but I really thought about it. I'm like, man, as great as Muck is, we wouldn't have Muck if it weren't for Cali-gari. Again, this is another scene band that really paved the way, really opened the gates for bands like Muck and for other bands within that specific scene that was emerging, right? And their music, man, is just so well done. Not always dark and gritty the same way Muck is, but it doesn't have to be, right? They still set the tone, and to still be active to this day, and still be doing their thing underground. I mean, it's incredible, man. I've got to say, but yeah, Cali-gari definitely deserves a lot more respect. You know, definitely one of the greats. Next up on the list, we have Raphael. Man, oh man, gone too soon. Raphael, boy, oh boy. You listen to stuff like Mind Soap, and you're like, wow, man, these kids had talent. These kids were in high school, man. 15, 16, forming a band and creating music. And to make music that good at such a young age is wild to me. You always hear stories about musicians at a young age, having that talent, and Raphael is definitely within that lane, and it shows. Definitely gone too soon, because boy, oh boy, man, that stuff, that they put out in that short amount of time, it just goes to show, man, imagine if they did more. Oh my goodness, you know. But even with what they've accomplished is enough to put them up there, you know. Incredible, man. Last but not least, we have Penicillin. Penicillin, not exactly a pioneer, what have you, but they are a unique band that has stood the test of time and have branched off into doing their own stuff, you know, right, with their spin-off of Machine and what have you. But yeah, they always find ways to switch up their sound and style. You know, they'll do industrial here, they'll do some ballads there. They might do something more similar to punk or something a little more aggressive. You know, they're always kind of all over the place, but still managing to do a great job, right? And Hakue, he just, man, those vocals work for whatever they need, man. Great, great work. And yeah, still kicking to this day, man. Still kicking. But yeah, with that being said, those are indeed the greatest visual kei bands of all time. Boy, oh boy, just amazing artists, you know, all across the board. So, with that being said, Hide Yuki here, the Rebelling Rose, and until next time, I'll see you.